Hi, I'm Jason with cirq-rentals, and today I'm going to show you how to set up the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2 Bikepacking tent. One of the first things you'll notice about this tent, one of the reasons I love it, not just for bikepacking, but for backpacking and car camping as well, is that the pole design is shorter than your traditional backpacking tent by about 6 inches. The poles here are 12 inches. You can see them in this little attached bag on the pack, and that makes it just that much easier to carry. It fits better on your bike handlebars, on your frame, in your saddlebags, and in your backpack for that matter, or in your vehicle if you're overlanding or going on a road trip. It's just that much more packable. So I love the bikepacking tents for that reason. They work equally well on a backpacking trip as they do for bikepacking. And the other nice thing you'll note about the Big Agnes bikepacking series, and this tent in particular, is that it comes equipped with a bikepacking ready bag. It cinches up into smaller sacks that include placement for the poles, as well as the tent body and rainfly. And there are just a ton of daisy chains, compression straps, and lash points, so that you can really strap this pretty much anywhere on your bike. Most people attach it to the handlebars. It's pretty easy to strap it on there, but you could mount it to your pannier racks, to your saddle bag area, to the frame, or if you're like paddle touring or something like that, again, you could lash it to really many different types of equipment, or fit it more properly into your backpack or another gear bag that you're using. So I love the bikepacking tents. They're great for bikepacking, but they're also good for a lot of other all-around uses, especially when you need a shorter pole design. And I find this really helpful too when I'm traveling. If I want to carry my tent onto an airplane, or just go with a smaller carry-on bag, I can usually fit this much more easily into those types of spaces in an overhead in an airport than I can with a full-size tent and the 18-inch pole design. So it's a great feature on the bikepacking tents all around the board. All right, so as we go to unpack our bikepacking tent here, first things first, we're just going to loosen up our compression straps here, make everything a little bit more accessible. Go ahead and get our poles ready here. Now you can detach them from the bag, but they are connected with these little loops here. I generally leave that on the bag unless I'm going to be separating the poles with somebody else who's carrying one part of the tent for me. Pull these poles out. Like your regular copper spur tent, you're going to have two sections of pole. One is the body of the tent with the hub design. The other will be the smaller spreader bar for the top to get your sidewalls positioned out. Put those there, they're ready to go. Next, you open up your bag. Stick bag out, we're going to need that right away. So that's our rainfly over here. And then we're going to lay out the body. Now you'll notice that they're color coordinated here. So you have orange loops and silver loops. The orange loops are going to be the smaller, narrower portion of the tent, usually towards the foot of the tent. And the silver ribbons are going to be the wider part of the tent, usually what you would consider maybe the top or the front of the tent. So depending on your setup choice, you can determine kind of how you want to set this up. Today we're going to be setting it up for demonstration without the footprint, but if you're going to be putting the footprint down, it is also color coordinated, and so you match the ribbons, orange ribbons to orange and silver ribbons to silver. But today for demonstration, we're just going to set it up without the footprint. Now your poles are also color coordinated, so the ends that go in the silver ribbon grommets will have a silver strip at the end of the pole. Makes it really easy to keep track of, make sure you're getting it set up in the right way. And this is hub design on your poles, which is also nice. It keeps everything together, so you don't have to worry about which poles go where or configuring your sections properly. It's nice and easy. So again, here you can see the difference in the silver tips right there versus the orange tips on this side. So we're going to match those up according to our tent. And now the Big Agnes tents have a great tip lock design here, which helps hold the tent pole in place on the bottom as you're setting up the tent. So you're just going to drop your pole into that little hole connection point on all four corners. Some people prefer to stake their tent out first. I like to go ahead and set the tent up first, get the structure set, determine if I need to move it around a little bit or reorient it, you know, where the doors are, that kind of thing, before I stake it. Unless it's very windy. If it's very windy, I'll at least stake one of the corners down so that my tent doesn't blow away while I'm setting it up. Next, you're just going to clip your fabric and ribbons on. You just have these clips here. Very simple. All right. Now, like the regular copper spur, we have really nice spreader bar. And for that spreader bar, you're just going to loop that right over the top. It mounts into these little plastic grommets on the tent itself. And you want to loop this pole over the top of your tent structure. It helps lift it up a little bit higher and gives your tent a little bit more height and structure to it. And then you pop that last fabric piece right there on that center piece. So it gives you really nice vertical sidewalls, gives you a lot of extra room inside the tent, which is really, really nice. One thing you'll note on this tent is I think all the copper spur two-person tents, you have doors on both sides, which is great. Because it's a bike packing tent, you're gonna have these accessory ribbons on the outside. This one, you have one on each side, and that's for a helmet. So each person in your party can store their kind of wet helmet on the outside of the tent, but keep it out of the rain, keep it off of the ground. You're also going to have accessory ribbon points on the rainfly, where you can store gloves, bike shorts, things that might be wet that you want to dry out. You can stuff those into those webbing points. So at this point, we're going to stake it out. Reposition a little bit here. I usually start on one corner. Call this our anchor corner. Go ahead and get that side staked in. Then I typically go to the opposite corner. Pull the tent nice and taut. All right, there we go. Now our next step is going to be the rainfly. And with our rainfly, you're going to have color coordinated ribbons just like the tent. So you match up your silver ribbons to your silver ribbons on the tent body and your orange ribbons to the orange ribbons. So I'm on the orange side now. I've got both my orange ribbons here, and I'm making sure that I've got the tent right side up, which I do, or the fly right side up. And what's great about the big Agnes design is that the rainfly actually clips right into the tent connection here. So you just clip that down. Repeat that process for all 4 sides. Go. Now you're going to take a couple more stakes here and stake out your door. You'll notice here you've got a couple of different points where you can stake it. You're going to stake it on the opposite side of your door zipper. So I'm going to choose to stake it on this side. That way I can get in and out of the tent without having to unstake everything. See that here. So I have this nice large vestibule area where I can store my pack, any of my gear that I don't want to get wet, my shoes, things like that. You can roll this up and close it here, keep that open for you. And then you also have the awning feature, which I'll show you in a moment, on both sides as well. Get our other door staked out. Yeah, and here's where you can see those additional lash points where you could put gloves, bike shorts, things that you want to just keep out of the tent and kind of let them air dry. And then like all the other tents in the line, you've got this little ventilation pole that helps you pop that up, get some airflow up and under and through the tent. So great design overall, amazing bike packing tent and a really good backpacking tent as well. You have additional guy lines and lash points, so if you're in a windy condition or if you just want a little extra room, you can pull those out and just make sure your tent is really nice and taut. Now, to set up your awning on the Copper Spur UL2 and backpacking and bikepacking tents, you'll need either a pair of trekking poles for each awning, or on the bikepacking version you can use your bike handlebars, 2 bike handlebars, as a way to prop up the awning as well. The kit, both tents come with 4 guy outlines, 2 for each side, and then you'll need 2 stakes for each side to stake them out. I've gone ahead and pre-placed my stakes, but you can do that as you're setting it up. And I go ahead and tie 2 loops in the guy lines, so it makes it a little bit easier to either girth hitch to the top of your awning or to loop over your poles. And there's a couple different ways you can do it. I'll show you each. You can, depending on your trekking pole setup and depending on your tent and your location, you can either do the poles up or down. It doesn't really matter. It's just sort of how you set it up. In this case, I've already girth hitched the guy outline to the loop on the awning. And so in this case, all I need to do is loop my trekking pole up underneath there. And you can play with the angle a little bit. Pull that guy line taut and then loop it over top of my stake here. And these come with adjustable tensioners, so you just adjust the tension on your guy outline until you get it just right. There we go, so we've got one side up, and you can change the height, of course, you know, based on how you want to set it up. On this side, we're just going to loop the awning over the top like so. Then based on how you angle the pole, or if you have an adjustable pole, you can change the height there. In this one, I'm going to girth hitch over the trekking pole instead of the loop. Couple different ways you can do it, obviously, but going ahead and doing the same adjustable guy line here. And there you have it. Pretty quick and easy setup. Once you've done it a couple of times, it's really fast and easy. The first time, you might need to play with it for a little while, so I recommend trying to set it up at home a few times, kind of get your system and your knots and your setup dialed in. The alternate way of doing it, of course, you could do your poles upside down. That's okay too. You can use smaller loops that way as well. But it's the exact same setup. You'll see photos of people doing it both ways, and you might prefer one over the other. It might have more to do with whether or not you're on rock or soft dirt, how you want to set it up on any given situation, but you can do it equally handle up or handle down, just like that. And then again, you can play with it and get it kind of positioned exactly how you want it. But a lot of great room there. You can use this space if it's sunny out for just kind of lounging underneath. If it's raining out and you want to do some cooking, you can obviously cook under here. If you add 2 stakes to your kit, you can go ahead and unroll this and stake your vestibule door out as well. The kit doesn't come with enough stakes to do that as it's packed, but you just add 2 stakes to your kit and you can keep that out to here. And then use it pretty easily if you're in a rainy situation. That's how you set up your awning on the Copper Spur HV-UL2 and the HV-UL2 Bikepacking tents. And I'm going to show you how to take down your Copper Spur HV-UL2 Bikepacking tent. In this situation, we got it set up with our awnings out. That could be either with your bikes or with trekking poles. So we'll start by taking the awning down and take the rainfly off. And then we'll move on to the tent body. It's the exact reverse of setting it up. It's pretty simple, but we'll just show you how it goes and how I typically pack it up so that it can be super easy when you're out in the field. Keep all my guy outlines together. Line those up separately, as well as keeping track of your stakes. It's always important to pack everything up with the zippers closed. That'll also help you when you're setting your tent back up. Make sure everything is zipped closed before you pack it away. Double check all your pockets and make sure you didn't leave your keys or your sunglasses in the tent. You're gonna close your little ventilation hole there. Go ahead and drop the awning back here as well. You got all your stakes and guy lines. Lay those up together here. Keep track of everything that I have. All right, everything's zipped up. So our next step is that we're going to unclip the corners of the rainfly and then set the rainfly aside. I like to leave everything staked while I'm taking the tent down. It just helps keep everything secured. Now we don't recommend folding your tent necessarily. If you fold it the same way every time, it can leave creases in the tent and kind of wear it down over time. So I'll do a little bit of like a loose fold here, I set the rainfly aside because it's the last thing I'm going to put into my tent bag. All right, next step here will be your tensioning bar. Unclip that on the top. Disconnect your sections here. We'll go ahead and set that aside right there. And now we're just going to unclip the body of the tent from the poles. Just like so, nice and easy. Now we can disconnect our poles. This hub design is really nice, just makes it super easy. Keep everything together and connect and disconnect your tent. And with the bike packing version, you have a few more connections to take apart, but the benefit, of course, is that it's much easier to pack 12-inch poles. Just look at that, it's so nice and easy and compact. Next step here for me, I like to go ahead and put my poles in the bag, kind of keep them all together. So you place your tensioner pole with your structural pole here. The tent body, let's pull our stakes. And again, you don't necessarily want to fold it, but just kind of crumple it up, so to speak. Now, I like to take my rainfly out last because I'm usually putting the tent body up first. So I like to stuff it in first when I'm packing up. So you see, I just take it and I just stuff it in. You can open up these compression straps just to make sure you got all the space you need. You're not fighting the bag. Rainflies in next to the tent body, and I mean, these are incredibly lightweight. You do need to be a little careful with them because they are so lightweight. They can be fragile. Just make sure you're not ripping anything or getting them stuck on a stake or a tent pole where it could rip the tent body. But just be gentle with it. It's fine. Alright, we got the whole tent in there with room to spare. You can fit your footprint in here as well. Next, I'm going to pack up my stakes and my guy lines. So I always count them to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're all good on our stakes there. They go in the bag. Should have 4 of these guy lines. You can use them for any reason. We typically use them for the awnings. I'm gonna just wrap them all together. I'll do a couple hand wraps here. Then loop it around itself kind of loosely. It's mostly just to hold it together while it's in the bag. Throw that into your stake bag. A couple of Velcro tie downs as well. Throw those in there. That's just extra stuff to lash it to your bike frame. It's included in your stake bag. Little tie down strap if you need them is in there as well. Cinch it up. Go ahead and connect our straps here. Those compression straps to really cinch it down. There we go. Last thing to do, connect this top piece. And there we are, we're set to go ahead and reconnect it to our bike. It's the Copper Spur HV UL2 Bikepacking tent.